Hello, everyone. My name is Conrad on behalf of Camera Stuff. Thank you for joining tonight. Hope you're doing splendidly well. Hope you're making do with stage 6 load shedding happening at the moment, but hopefully you're still joining us. Tonight in the Limelight, I am joined by Henk Steyn. Hello, Henk. How are you doing today?
Hey Conrad, good things. We're launching everything as good as can be.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to chat about Henk's career. I'm just going to show a couple of images just to give you an indication as to what he is capable of. So we'll go through these images one by one just a little bit later. So you can see he's involved in band photography, doing studio photography, a whole variety of different photographic tricks and stuff. And we'll get into that a little bit later. All right. So from my side, we're just going to start asking questions. Everybody joining, if you're keen on asking your own questions, please do ask so in the comment section, and we'll tackle them as we go along. All right, Henk, from my side. So tell us a little bit about your photographic journey and how you got started.
Oh, okay. We've got time for this. Okay, so it started actually in high school. I wanted to become a photographer, or I wouldn't say photographer. I wanted to do film, and my dad was like, "No, you must go get a degree and stuff." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So did analytics test, and they told me to become a lawyer. So my journey started off being a lawyer first. I was at tax for like 6 months. But while I was there, I kind of was managing my friend's band because I've always had a passion for music and live music and stuff.
Mhm.
So while I was doing that, my first ever camera was, I don't know if you remember those box cameras, those little Kodak box cameras that
Yeah.
used to flip open. So that was my first camera, and I used to take pictures with it even in high school and primary school, just mucking around. Didn't know much what I was doing. So jumping from there back to the music, while I was managing my friend's band, in the meantime, I think it was my first camera, which was a Sony point and shoot little camera, and I used to take their pictures at the gigs, house parties, wherever. And yeah, after tax, I said to my dad, I want to go study photography, and he was like, "Cool." So while I was working, because he told me, "Cool, you can stop your studies, but you have to get a job. No bartending, no waitering. You need to get a 9 to 5 job." Which is quite funny because trying to get a 9 to 5 with a matric certificate, not fun.
Mm-hmm.
So while I was studying and working and stuff, I kind of went to a pub on weekends, which was called Shivas, and I used to shoot bands every Friday, every Saturday evening. Wasn't paid, just went there with my Canon 450D and my old flash. It's one of those old flashes that had the dials. You literally had to move
Yeah.
it. Yeah. I still have it somewhere.
Was
It's not working anymore, but it's
Oh,
somewhere.
you had to figure out a guide number and the distance and whatnot.
Bro, I did not know what I was
Very
doing.
classic, yeah.
I'll be honest, I was just winging it. But and then again, I'll be honest, I was happy with the shots at that stage. And it started snowballing from there. Shot photos for a band that booked me to do the New Year's gig photos.
Uh-huh.
And it rolled over, did my first year at Oakfields College, second year at Vega, and then 6 years I did graduation photography at a company called Gordon Harris. And while I was there, started working, doing my own things. And yeah, for the last, I would say 6, 7 years, been doing my own thing.
So you said you started off with the 450D.
Mm,
Yeah,
I
so
still have it.
that makes you photographer number 3, but either had the 350D or the 450D for ones that I've interviewed. So yeah, so those were quite popular back in the day. Those little 350Ds and 450Ds. I also had one
Like,
starting out.
like a macro box set with the lens and the bag and the camera.
Mm. And a couple of kit lenses. Yeah, we made dude back in the day, hey?
I still have my kit lens. I still muck around with it. So
Mm-hmm. Now it's a bit of a paperweight from my side now. All right, so talking about camera gear, what do you currently have in your camera bag?
that's a very interesting question, actually, because during COVID, I restructured my entire bag. Like I had gear
All right.
actually in my cupboard, lying. You know, that's so like you have gear, but then I won't say outgrow it, but you start to
Mm-hmm.
find your niche and what kind of photography and stuff. So I clear a lot of my gear out, but my kit's very basic. It's got 2 cameras in. The main camera is the EOS R as my main body. Then my secondary body is my trusty 5D Mark III camera. I don't shoot on it a lot, but it's a solid camera to have in case the mirrorless does give issues. Touch wood, it hasn't. Lens-wise, we're looking at a 50mm 1.4 art Sigma lens. Love it. Love it. If I had the money, I would have... Oh, here goes my light. Give me 1 second. That's what happens if you play with your feet. Just give me 1 second.
That's okay. Pitch the
I can't
lights.
sit still. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So I can't sit still.
Right.
So where were we? Lenses. Okay. If I had the money, I would most probably have the entire Sigma Art series of lenses, but we all know money doesn't grow on trees. Then I've got the Tamron 15 to 30mm f2.8 wide angle lens, which is nice. It gives you the versatility of this very wide vibes and to 30mm. So it's nice for architecture and interiors and even shooting festivals and parties because it gives you the versatility of this and then a little bit of this. And my last lens would be my old Canon 2470 f2.8, the first version. Except for that, I've got this little light, the one that just fell over that I got recently. I'll quickly just show you guys. Guys, go support Conrad. Go get this light. Yeah, free marketing for you guys. But yeah, I've got that in the bag.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
No sweat, dude. Yeah, it's funny. Like I say, I've got my bag because you never know when you need a little light for something. So I've got a Canon EOX 600 flash and a Magmod sphere just for balancing it if I'm shooting inside buildings or doing music stuff. It's very nice because it just spreads out the light nice and softly. I'm trying to think before I go on. I've got a memory card sleeve as well with like a lot of memory cards. And what else is in the bag? There's a lot of tricks and things in the bag. It's difficult to specify exactly because I chop and change the whole time depending on what we're shooting. Like at the moment, I have a gimbal in the bag. That's what I'm saying. Like it literally changes from because I do a lot of. I sometimes or these days do a bit more video work. I even have a lapel mic in the bag. So like I say, it just depends. But mainly that what you just heard is exactly what's 95% of the time in the bag.
All right. In terms of lighting, on location, studio work, what do you work with?
So on location, my go-to lights are 2 Godox 8200s. The one's a pro, one's a normal one. And you are going to have to just help me. I think it's an AD or AB2 bracket.
Yeah. That's the AD-B2 bracket. Allows you to combine the two.
Yes. So I usually run it like that. So I run like a 400-watt light theoretically. I know some gear finish will be like, it's not a 400-watt light. But usually that. Oh, I've got 2 triggers in the bag. I actually have a funny story about the trigger. Give me 1 second. Let me just pull it from here. Because this is actually a very juicy story to tell you.
We like juicy.
So this is the main trigger in the bag.
That
I use on my lights. And this is my spare trigger. I've only used it like twice now, 3 or 2 times. Very nice trigger. But the juicy story about this trigger, I was working somewhere and a kid was walking past me and my camera was hanging on my straps and bumped my camera as normal, but not hard or anything. When I looked down, this spot here, I'm going to have to screw this up, where it connects into this arm socket in the plastic.
Yeah.
There, it broke out and was hanging by the cables.
Oh, okay.
So it's together with super glue and it's still working. What you have to do is get the shot.
Well, it's good to have the spare then in the future, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Back to the light thing. So I use that trigger with the 8200s. Modifiers, it's basically a parabolic umbrella. It's not the deep parabolics. It's the Godox. I think it's a 120 centimeter parabolic with the grid that you can just pop up like a normal umbrella. I do have spare diffusers I don't always use, but I always carry them with me on shoots in case the one breaks or something goes wrong. Because I think you agree with me, 95% of the time there is something that can go wrong, and you rather want to be
Yep.
prepared and not stand there like an idiot and be like, I can't take pictures for you because I don't have my umbrella. So
Yeah.
I've got a normal shoot through Y umbrella, and I've got a pop-up softbox umbrella. And what's lying in my office here, I've got a beauty dish. And then in my cupboard, I've got two gin bay lights, but they're like plus
Nice.
minus
Yeah.
10 years plus old. I just use them in the studio as my back fillers. So like getting
Yeah.
your white backgrounds pure white, or when I'm doing products, I'll have them as second and third light. I know a lot of people look down on gin bay, but they've never failed me. I've had them.
Jumbos are tanks now.
Yeah, and they're all. I still remember going to what was it? One shop in Joburg. It's not Radio Lens. It used to be there in Rambo. I forgot the name now. Graham Robertson.
Yeah, Graham Robertson. Yeah.
I took him to Goose the one time, and Goose looked at him. And he's like, "Where did you find these?" And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "They're old, but they look brand new." I'm like, "Cause I look after my gear. Cause gear's expensive."
That's what's different between you and I. I've got just a bunch of scratches and everything on my gear. Tend to be a little bit too abusive.
Look, my camera doesn't look that. The other day I was working at a wedding, and I looked at the other person's arm, and I was like, "It looks like it's never been used. Mine's got scratches on." At the end of the day, it's a tool. I think the sooner you accept a camera as a tool that you use for work, especially in our
Yeah.
field, the quicker you. I won't say you're gonna throw around. What I mean by is if it
Mhm.
does get scratches and stuff, it happens.
Yep, exactly. All right, so on to our third question. Sorry, I'm just speeding through a little bit here. So kind of pertaining to the first question I asked you. So starting out, what were the ups and downs that you experienced early on as a photographer?
I think that I'm trying to think now. Okay, one thing I always say that's the biggest problem for starting photographers. I won't say it just for me. I'm gonna name a general thing because I usually have this
Uh-huh.
debate with young photographers. Is I think financing is a big problem.
Mm.
Like, but I'll get to the financing part now. I was lucky when I finished photography, and I think that's a general problem with a lot of people when they go study. You study even engineering. Let's go out of the artistic field. You go and study. No one tells you where to apply for a job. Let's be honest. So you're staying there like an idiot, like,
Mhm.
cool. I've got a degree or diploma or certificate, but I don't know where to go find a job. So I was lucky that an ex-colleague called me and said to me, "Do you want a job?" And I went, like I said, I did graduation photography for 6 years, and it taught me so much. But I think one of the biggest uphill battles at that stage for me was getting your name out and building a clientele base. Because I think, yeah, you can have a portfolio that's good, but I'm very lucky with my current clients. I've had my oldest client has been with me from the get go, and we've built up such a relationship. It's like we trust each other blindly, if you know what I mean. So
Mm.
by building up a clientele base, it's also building up trust with your client, and your client needs to trust you. So I think number one was the work, like growing out from working for someone to working for yourself. Secondly, back to the work is financing because you can't leave a job where you're working for someone to work for you if you're not making enough work, get enough work in to make enough money to survive. So I think the work and the money go hand in hand. But surprisingly, I was lucky in that time that even though I started working for myself, I grew my social media super quickly. And it's funny if I
Mhm.
tell people this. I used to do nightclub photography, like drum and bass dubstep parties. And that was still the
Uh-huh.
time when people used to go on Facebook and tag themselves and tag their friends and have to like your page. And yeah, I didn't get paid for the events, but I grew so quickly through just shooting those parties every weekend or once a month, that I started getting bookings for matric farewells. Yeah, don't ask why how the matrics got to the clubs, but I just took the pictures. Matric farewells,
Not asking.
24, yeah, and I think also it's a thing like word of mouth, where people after a while like, have you used Ink? Who did your pictures? So yeah, I would say the two toughest up your bats were finances and was also business. But like I say, I was blessed that I got the job with the graduation stuff, and I could save for the first year to buy the lights, the gin base, and also buy a Mac. But Macs back then was like 13,000. What are you going to pay for a Mac
No,
now?
not anymore.
No.
All right, so a couple of things just want to touch on. So in today's social media landscape, how would you advise new photographers in building that clientele, as you would call it, and using social media? So anything else that you use, like emails or anything of the sort? Yeah, so given the modern landscape of social media, etc., how do you go about building that clientele list?
That's a tough one, Conrad. So I did try call. This is going to be fun. I tried cold calling during COVID, because during COVID, most of us creators were unemployed. So I started cold calling people I knew in the industry that were estate agents and all of that. But it's difficult getting to a field like that per se, because they already have their go-to photographer and stuff. Emails. I'm blessed, Conrad. I get a lot of my work. So a lot of people don't know this. Me and you had this chat before this whole thing started, that I've moved. I do a lot more commercial, corporate kind of work. So a lot of my clients now are people that reference me, or people will ask who did the work for you, and it snowballs. Like there was a website, funny enough, that I used once, and I still can't believe I got work from it. The website's called Bark.
Don't recognize it, but tell us more.
So I'm not even 100% sure, because I joined Bark, but I think Bark is like a marketing page where it's almost like a Yellow Pages. So you can put your stuff on there and people can type in, let's say, photographers, like a Google search, but it's like Bark's own catalog. And I once did corporate headshots and Harties, of all places. Or it was Alberton, one of the two. And I asked the girl, like, where did you find my details? Oh, I found you in Bark. And I was like, okay, that's weird, because I didn't know I would get any work from Bark. But yeah, it's weird how social media has changed, because I used to get a lot of work from Facebook, a lot. And when I tell a lot of photographers, they're like, they frown on it, because they're like, how is it possible? Because I know there's a lot of people that get work from Instagram and their websites. I used to, before the algorithms got very tricky, and also the migration that people start leaving Facebook. And I think you've noticed as well, like a lot of people don't go in there anymore. They start leaving the platform. So I don't get a lot more as much clients from Facebook as I used to, but essentially it's mostly word of mouth and recommendations.
Okay, that's great stuff. Yeah, so life outside of social media, that's kind of a route we need to take again. Kind of the traditional way of building the clientele list. Because as you said, the social media algorithms are kind of working against the means of advertising on Facebook or Instagram.
Can I just stop you?
There are means of boosting posts as well. Yeah, I can.
Let's not even go into boosting. Boosting. I actually had the same chat with Ed Fenter a while back about boosting. It's like, no, don't do boosting. You can do paid ads, but I still don't understand paid ads. Like, I had a chat with Shanae yesterday, Shine Photo, because I saw her selling again. I was like, "Are you stopped doing photography?" And she's like, "No," but she's like getting into more of the marketing aspect of how to market your business with social media, like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all of that. So she's kind of already doing what I'm looking at doing. And I said this year, is that a mosquito chasing you there?
Yes, there's a little thing in front of me. It's trying to ignore it, but it's in my face.
Sorry for laughing.
No, it's fine. It's At least it's the mosquitoes. A couple of nights ago, that was a swarm of Christmas beetles in here, but the door's luckily closed.
I like
The door
Christmas
stays open. The
beetles.
Christmas, and not when I kamikazing in your face the whole time.
Because you got a light on, that's why.
Yeah, the lights here, so they.
So I think it's also a thing back to you know about like when you're running a business, you need to like
Yeah.
prioritize certain funds for marketing and let's say market research and all that. I've even come to a point now where I'm like, I won't call myself lazy, but if you get very busy, it's difficult juggling social media, your emails, and running a business. So I've even come to a point where I've started looking at maybe employing a company or paying a company to help me run my social media that know how the algorithms work, keywords. What's the other term they use for keyword searches on Google? All of that.
SEO and stuff.
Mm. So I've even started looking at maybe like getting a company to help me with that. Because like I say, it's difficult, especially if you're a one-man show. It's difficult.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with that. You touched on boosting before the mosquito attacked me here.
Mhm.
There's something else
So,
that you wanted to add there.
so here's something interesting I've noticed with social media in the last year, 2 years. I used to have a Black Friday special that where I would take, and I'm a big fan of boosting adverts. So remember I said earlier about the whole um, music thing. So I used to
Yeah.
ponder and DJing, hosting events and stuff, and I used to do a lot of boosting of events on Facebook. So over the years, you can see what amount of money you've spent on social media marketing, and in general, it's a lot I've spent, but I've made 3, 4 times that amount back. So it's not been a waste. But I've always noticed it works. And within this year, I didn't do it. The last 2 years, or actually even last 2 years, I've noticed with the Black Friday specials I used to run, because I used to like let's say take 1,000 rand, do a Black Friday special, get about 10 weddings for 1,000 rand.
Yeah.
And the last 2 years,
Zero. So what do you think may have caused that? Is
uh,
it an algorithmic shift or
I,
shift in
I,
policy, do you think?
I think it's algorithms, and I also think like, and this is one of my clients I work for with shopping centers. So the one half of the company is into marketing, and one of the people in the company
Mhm.
is very good with social media and the algorithm and all that. So they said to me, number one is keywords that you have to use. It's better to use I won't say 1,000, but let's say 1,000 on a shorter period. Instead of 30 days, where I used to use 1,000 over 30 days, they'll say I use 1,000 over, let's say, a week. And there's a
Mm.
lot of things, but I can't get my head wrapped around it. I'm still trying to figure out Twitter as we're speaking. Like I've returned to Twitter after the big Elon Musk story, and surprisingly, I have followers on Twitter, which I never knew I had. So I'm trying to actually spend
Mhm.
time on Twitter and work on that now. So, but I feel Facebook is dying a slow death, to be honest. Like, I don't want to predict anything here. Instagram and Facebook at the moment, currently with the algorithms, are making it very tough for businesses and people to grow. So, and I this is a topic I don't want to step on it now, but I also feel like before COVID, our industry was very saturated with a lot of people, and a lot of them went
Mhm.
away because of COVID. And I think now after COVID, people are desperate for work. So a lot of them in tenfolds have returned. So you also struggle with that on social media. Whereas you need, if you're going to do boosting, you need to hit that exact target market you're aiming for. Otherwise, you are going to
Yes.
fall into the same bracket as the masses who are going to do those. Like, you know, the joke about the weddings. I'll do your wedding for 500 rand.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. In terms of boosting, we've learned it from our side as well. You have to be super specific with your target audience. You
Mm,
can't just throw your ads out there to everyone. And luckily, Facebook can allow that. Allows you to be quite specific and also to retarget as well. So I think that is the first challenge, as you said, is to build that clientele list, get people interested in what you're doing, and make certain you kind of gathering the same type of audience over time as well. It's a lot of hard work.
As Conrad left the building again because of load shedding. So guys, I don't know what's going on here. Let's check the phone. No, Conrad hasn't messaged me. Okay, we'll give him a second. Let's have a cup of coffee. So Conrad has actually sent us anything. Let's quickly see. Okay, Conrad's lost connection, guys. Let's see if he's gonna rejoin. Just ask him. All right, Conrad's coming back now, guys. So guys, I'm just resharing this. If you guys have got questions for me, you can ask away while we're waiting for Conrad. I'll reply on the WhatsApp. We'll see if there's questions and reply. So guys, I'm just waiting for Conrad to join back, if he's going to join back. I'm even saying Conrad memes now, waiting for him. So guys, it's hot. I don't have my fan on either, because otherwise it sounds like I'm at the seaside. And also drinking coffee in this weather doesn't help either. Let me go see if there's any comments on Facebook that someone wants me to answer.
Hello.
You're back. Drum roll, please.
Ah, gosh. No, sorry about that. During load shedding, the connection goes up and down the whole time. But yeah. Thank you for waiting, and thank you for the audience for waiting as well. Still got a good chunk of people watching. Just as a reminder, if you're watching, if you have any questions to ask, I think we're jumping into some interesting topics here pertaining to social media and marketing and starting out. If you have any specific questions regarding that or not specific to that whatsoever, do drop your questions in the comments and we'll tackle them as we go along. All right, so where were we? I think we can just jump into a different question. I think what we can do is jump into your slideshow.
Yay.
All right, so again, apologies for disappearing. It's not just mosquitoes attacking me, but signal gremlins as well. Okay, so what we're going to do the ESCOM gremlins. So what we're going to do here, we're going to show you a bunch of images Henk created, and Henk is going to give us a bit of a lowdown as to everything pertaining to this shot, what gear he used, who the people are, what motivated him, what inspired him to create this shot, how he conceptualized it, etc. So the stage is yours, Henk.
Okay, now I'm already in the spot because the model makeup artist is going to hit me with a stick because I can't remember her name now.
Oh no.
So okay, let's just start off with this overall look and stuff. First off, I try and keep things very basic and simple. I'm a very easygoing photographer. So one of the main things for me is I like using the sun as a backlight. So the sun was here from behind. So you'll see with the white agate panthers and stuff there in the background that the sun came from the back. I was using my main parabolic light. I would say if I look at this from the right-hand side, shooting down 45-degree angle. And, no. It was the parabolic on a C-stand. C-stand right above her, filling it in from the front. And I would say also that, what else was here? Oh, an ND filter. This was still, I think, with the Mark III, and it was with the art lens with ND filter.
All right. So using the ND filter. So what type of light did you use, and why did you not choose to do high-speed sync? So obviously you have a decision between the ND filter and high-speed sync. Cool. So which is your preference there?
It depends. I do sometimes do a high-speed sync. It just depends on how bright the background is. Because remember, I'm sitting here with two 8200s. I don't have a 600-watt light. So I've tried the high-speed sync, but sometimes, especially depending on how bright it is, because I sometimes, even with some of my projects now, I get thrown in the deep end where high-speed sync won't work, where they'll be like, cool, 12 o'clock the afternoon. Ricky, we want you to take a picture of this person with this, or 11 o'clock in the morning, bright sunlight from the back, and you don't have
those
much.
Are fun, eh? 12 p.m. lights.
Yeah. Look, I'm so used to it now. Like, I actually should send you some of my tobacco farm pictures because I didn't have. That was very interesting because there they put me in a tobacco field, 12 o'clock the afternoon. There's no trees. All the tobacco plants are this high, and the only light I had was a Canon 600 flash with a shoot-through umbrella.
Sounds like fun.
It's a lot.
How did you manage?
I don't know. Go on my knees and just. But that's why I actually ended up buying the 8200. Was because of that fact. I was like, I'm not gonna get myself into this kind of predicament again. And then I was like, no, but I need more power. So I go another 8200 and then the brackets. So now you guys kind of know why. But we'll get to the gear question later. So that's why I do high-speed sync sometimes and sometimes not. It just I can't say, like I say, I'm a very easygoing photographer and I roll the punches and I just try and make things work as easy as possible in my situation I'm in.
All right, so you're not religious about any particular techniques or whatnot.
No. Nope.
So whatever happens on a day, whatever works. So do you want to run us through reasons why you use the ND filter? And
So basically, the indie
yeah,
filter is
what motivated
basically.
you to be indie filtered?
So let me just find the indie filter first, and then I can also show you guys. So it's the Benro Indie 8, so it's quite dark. It's not a variable. I want to get a variable, just not the Peter McKinnon one for 5,000 rand.
Uh-huh.
So basically, the indie does, I like to call it like using sunglasses. It just blocks out so much light, so it makes it darker, and it allows me then to drop my f-stops to ridiculous fields. Like, I know the Sigma Art lens, let me just put this safely before it breaks. The Sigma Art lens can go to 1.4. I don't
Uh-huh.
usually 1.4. I'm very, very iffy about sharp images and that the eyes are sharp and not soft. I know nowadays with artificial intelligence and the new Photoshop, you can still sharpen those eyes a little bit, but still, I'm very old school, and I think this also comes for shooting a while. I try and shoot correctly, so I don't have to spend 10 million hours in front of a
Uh-huh.
PC. So what I'll do is I'll use an indie filter. So like year per se, if I'm correct, I was using an indie filter. This most probably was between f1.6 and f2.2. I'm not even 100% sure. My sweet spot with the art lens always used to be f2.2 on my Mark III. Since I got to mirrorless camera, and the mirrorless cameras are way more better at focusing, I started playing around, even going sometimes at 1.6. Like I said, it totally depends on what I'm shooting and all of that. So the indie filter will just block it out. You can keep your shutter speed quite a certain space, and you can drop your f-stop to where you want, and then the only thing from there on is you'll start testing your light to just balance. Because what I usually
Yeah.
try and do also with a shot like this is I'll get everything up, look through my camera, and be like, okay, cool, let's expose for the background and all of that. Then you start doing test shots with the flash to try and get the flashlight. I know some people will be like, but Henk, why don't you use a light meter? Because I only use light meter in the studio. But then I start testing with the front light to see until my lighting is correct. But also in this picture, I noticed recently is there is dapper light if you look from
Yeah.
certain spots on it. So this must also most probably be that the sun wasn't totally from behind him. He must have been maybe from a different angle. But yeah, you can't always win. So sometimes you have to make do what you can make
All
do with.
right.
You
I think that
put me
was
in a
an
tough
awesome
spot here.
explanation.
You put me in a
That's not
tough
a tough
spot.
spot. I don't mean to throw you in a deep end, but we all can swim, eh?
Yeah, we hope so.
Now, like that uncle that teaches the children how to swim, just chucking them into the deep end.
My dad did that to my dog. Thank you very much.
Yep. Oh gosh.
He's like, and as a Scotty, he was like, "Go, boy!" And the Scotty didn't swim. The Scotty went to the bottom of the pool, and then when he got to the
Oh
bottom, he was like, "Oh wow, I better start paddling, or I'm gonna drown." And the
well,
Scotty
hopefully
never.
the dog survived.
Yeah, he's 10 years old now, so yeah, he
Okay,
survived.
gosh. Okay, good. Yeah, we're kind of
So the
entering
trooper.
some. All right, Charles. So happy ending. The dog survived. All right.
Yes.
So let's jump on to the next image. So here we have in studio.
Oh,
All right. So give us a look.
this is a very cool story. So basically, this was for the. I think it was still top billing at this stage because top billing. I don't know if you've noticed, top billing doesn't exist anymore. The top billing has now basically morphed into the Insider SA. This might be top billing or the Insider, one of the two. But anyways, so this shoot specifically was a feature with Gert Johan Coetzee, a fashion designer. So we did this shoot at his house. It's a funny story. I got there early, and the secretary's like, "Yeah, there's his house. Just go in." And I walk into his house. He's not there, and I'm like, "Okay, cool. Now I have to
Oh
plan. We
no.
built the studio, dude." Gert is the nicest guy, like hands down. I dig the guy. I've got a lot of time for Gert. Gert's very cool, and his work's amazing. So we get there. We built the studio. This was, I think it's Narin Kane. Yeah, if I pronounce it correctly. So she was modeling this dress. My setup here was very basic. So I had the two Godox lights, not the Godox, the two Jemba lights on the sides of two soft boxes filling the background to try and get as pure white as possible. And then frontal, I had a C stand, quite high. with the 280-200s coming from above the parabolic. Look, you're going to hear this a lot. I love my parabolic umbrella. It works for me. So I know a lot of people be like, but you need a bigger umbrella. But if you can make work with what you have, then why do you need something bigger?
Mhm.
And it's difficult transport. I would love a big umbrella. I'll be honest. I've looked at your big umbrellas you guys sell, but I'm just like, where am I going to use it 90% of the time?
No, the big umbrellas are awesome to use, but I have a couple of them myself. But if you're going to work on location, you don't know what you're getting yourself into very
And
often.
space.
So sometimes you work to a location, yeah, and it's very limited space, and the ceiling is quite low, so the big umbrella is just not useful there.
Yeah, and this was in his
Outside, yeah,
house.
if you have. Now, so the big
So,
umbrellas in very confined spaces are not ideal.
okay, back to settings here would be normal studio vibe. So this is most
Uh-huh.
probably shot. If I had to take a wild guess, shutter speed would be between 125 and 200. Um, f-stop would be f8. Um, and my ISO must probably between 50 or 100. I like shooting at 50 these days. I know a lot
Yeah.
of people are like, how do you set your camera to 50? Google, guys. Go Google and YouTube. Until as soon as you figure that one out, you'll love it. It helps a lot. But so setting was, I can't exactly tell you what the setting was in the Godox lights, but most probably the gem bays were full power just to blast the white, pure white. I know
I was going to
sometimes
ask about that.
so I know sometimes it can cause hot spots and all of that. But yeah, no, like what you're seeing is basically came out of the camera. Like, so with this client specifically, is they've got their own internal editing teams. So they'll maybe tell you edit us one or two quick pictures, and the rest they handle for print media and stuff, like some big corporations. But like even like you can see that there's not much to do on that. That, like I said,
Yeah.
that's exactly what you see is what you get on the camera.
All right. So a couple of questions I want to ask. You said that you went to somebody's house. What backdrop did you use?
Oh, okay. So I didn't mention that. That would
No,
be
no worries.
acrylic white paper background on background stands. My old trusty background stands that are bent and they look like the dog jumped
Uh-huh.
on it, but they still work.
All
And
right. So the
sandbag.
paper backdrop.
Never
Yeah,
forget
those are quite.
sandbags.
Sandbags always very useful. So the paper backdrop, those are not easy to travel with. Like, do you still recommend for paper backdrops? What you have to move it around with?
Do you really want to know my trusty little lesson centra? So what I usually do, and I'll tell you a funny joke after this. So what I usually do is I'll put, because the gin bay is on a wheel case, so it's a big carry case, and the problem with my soft boxes, which I still need to upgrade, they're all gin bay soft boxes, and I never broke them down because when I got them, stupid me didn't know how to build soft boxes. So I've kind of forced and bent some of the arms. So I left them as they were because I knew if I'm going to start breaking them down the whole time, they're going to break. So I don't change them. I leave them as they are. So they're usually on top of the bag on the back seat. And then in the back corner of my car window, I'll put the paper background and run it over out through the passenger front side. But luckily my car's quite long in that sense. So the little bit that sticks out isn't in a situation where it can knock over a car. But then again, just for safety reasons, hang a red cloth there so people know. I've actually looked at getting roof racks, but with the newer cars, most of the new cars have roof racks. Is getting one of those, what you call this, the people that design the tents and stuff, canvas.
Uh-huh.
So you get a canvas guy, you give them the measurements. They can design you a bag for those paper backgrounds that will be water resistant. So you can zip it in there.
Nice.
That's the long-term plan. You zip it in there, put it on the roof rack, you drive. So if it's hail, wind, whatever, your paper backdrop is safe. I haven't done that, but yeah, but also most of the times with these shoots, the clients pay for the paper backgrounds because I've also learned the hard way that those backgrounds are expensive. And the more you shoot to them and you don't charge people, it eats out of your own pocket. So nowadays, if people want it, I'm like, cool, you can have it, but you're paying for those per meter extras on top of the rental fee.
Now that's the way to go about it. It's
You
things are
learn the
going to
hard
break
way.
and etc. Yeah, so paper backdrops, very consumable, easy to break.
Mm,
Yeah, so just to add that to the client's invoice as well
mm,
afterwards, if so agreed. All right, so another question about the backdrop. So you
mm,
mentioned that you use the two lights on the background to get that nice
mm.
whitewashed look. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that? Because that is something that new photographers do struggle with, getting that background as pure white as we see here.
That is tricky. That is a tricky one. So, um, I did a shoot earlier this year. I couldn't see the images because I've only gotten the thumbs up this week for using them. So I'm only using them on my social media next year. So I don't know if you saw the whole Tropica Island of Challenges campaign with the celebrities on the island for Clover.
No,
Conrad, you
I
go,
haven't.
don't you
Sorry.
buy Tropica? Don't you buy Tropica?
Tropica, no, 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 no. I'm not Tropica.
So basically,
I'm gonna pull a Cristiano Ronaldo and do a water promotion.
you can. I'm looking for water now because this coffee just made me boiling. Um,
Yeah.
so for that shoot, they put me in a super tiny room. But I learned the trick now with using the soft boxes. So guys, there's a couple of ways to get your backgrounds perfect. Okay. Um, the one would be is maybe using um, umbrellas, shoot through umbrellas because they spread wider. So it's
Yeah.
easier to get the flow evenly. Because the problem is, and you need to go quite back to make the. Always use the wrong terms for this, but like the fall off of the light is going to be wider, so it's not going to be
Uh-huh.
just on one hot spot. But I've learned a trick with my soft boxes. I take up all the diffusers, so it's going to spread everywhere. But here's another trick: make sure your model is at least a meter minimum
Yes.
before the lights. Like, here's another thing that I don't. People that understand light might see in my images. I don't use cardboards on the sides to block light. I don't. Like I say, I know there might be an issue for some people, but for my work, it's fine, and my clients are happy. So, and like this dress, you can see is super reflective, and we didn't have issues. So, I think it's also got a lot to do with that balancing of the light. If how hard your light and how far your subject is from the background. Because I've learned also
Mm.
the hard way. If you do this balancing, make sure your subject's far enough away so the fall of light that hits your subject will be soft enough that you can even fix it in post. Or you won't
Yes.
even actually notice it. Look, at the end of the day, I think a little bit of fall light that comes from the back sometimes complements your model, like if they got nice cheekbone structures, all of that.
Hmm.
But it all depends on your subject you're shooting.
Yeah, absolutely. I touched on some interesting points there. I think the most important bit is to get your subject as far away from the background as possible, and just splash the background. With some diffused lighting, as you said. So you don't want to create those hot spots on the background itself. So nice, even distributed amount of light coming from both sides. Yeah, just to add that clean white look on the backdrop
Conrad, can I
itself.
just add another thing? Seeing as we're talking about
Yes.
white backgrounds. So we all know those situations where you go do a shoot and like you're saying, confined space. I had this last week. So I do a lot of corporate headshots, and corporate headshots for me is it's I won't say it's easy because you should never call your work easy, but it's I know what to do now and I've got my recipe and it works. So I get to the shoot and it's in a boardroom. And I usually tell my clients I need about 3 by 4 meter space for the small white background to put the lights on the side to fill it in nicely. And I usually they use, are you being attacked by bugs again?
It's stuck on my ring lights. Got a Christmas deal on my ring light.
Sorry for laughing, but that's funny.
Sorry, go on.
So, so yeah, now I've lost the plot here. So I've got so what I do when I do corporate headshots, I use a light meter somewhere on my desk here. This my desk looks
Uh-huh.
like a tornado. Um, so I get there the day to do the test and everything, and I notice there's no space. There was no space to put two side lights to fill the background. Like if I did that, one, you would have maybe seen the soft boxes. Two, it would have been like very hot spots on the background.
Yeah.
So I started thinking of the box, and you're gonna laugh. I took 180-200, put a bare bulb on a small stand right behind the person,
Hmm.
and so okay, so to stand there, I'm gonna do one test of you. Looked out, looked through the camera, looked fine, I'm like, cool. whatever I have to, we'll fix them post, and used one other 80-200 with a big fill-in softbox again, fill them in nicely. The rest you just fix them post. But sometimes I think the main thing to teach people as well is sometimes it's trial and error, guys. Never be too scared to try something. Maybe don't try it when you're working with clients. But also, if you are scared about filling in backgrounds with corporate and stuff, there's a lot of things you can learn on YouTube. Ask me. I've been on YouTube a few times to go look at ideas.
Now, placing the light directly behind your subject, that's what I do 90% of the time. It's just about making sure that your subject, your person is standing in front of the light, don't get the light stands, etc. in a shot. So if you're doing 3/4 and portraits, as I said, that's what I do 90% of the time. Placing the light directly behind your subject is adding a splash of light. You can put a gel on it as well if you want to change the color of the backdrop. It's a very good technique. So if you're doing full-length body shots, you may run into some trouble because you may get light stands on the shots, but I don't know. You can otherwise convince your clients that you can only do 3/4 in portraits, given if you can find space. But it just depends.
Yeah, but luckily I was lucky because I was head and shoulder corporate headshots.
Sure,
so they can get away with it. But in a situation, I'll be honest with you, that Tropica shoot, same story. They put me in such a confined space. I had to shoot with 24/70 because there was no place to go back anymore. I was pressing up against the wall because there was literally no more space. Because I still had to make sure the models and the subject matter was far enough from the background. Because with that same shoot again, we had to shoot, dump the footage so it can go directly to Clover, so Clover can start using it for the ad campaigns. So you have to try and make sure you're shooting it as close to perfect, so that even when they were printing the stuff for cardboards for the media launch, I'm not gonna lie to you, it didn't even look like they did much. The only thing they did was a bit of Photoshop on a belly here and a mark here and a mark here, but the rest looked like they literally took it and put it on cardboard mannequins.
No, I think they're trying to get a cheaper quote by taking the editing out of it.
Can be.
Maybe an option. I wanted to ask you something. So in terms of corporate shoots, do you ask people to send you a photo of the environment first so you can best prepare for it on shoot day?
Are we talking about when you're doing environmental portraits, or are we talking about this per se?
Corporate. So when you go to somebody's office to do a bunch of corporate headshots, do you ask people just to send you a photo of where you're going to shoot so you can get an idea as far as spacing is concerned?
I usually talk to my clients up front, like the person from the office is booking me. I'll tell them the specs I need and stuff to work. If it's pictorial, I actually go to the client's office, or I don't mind actually going to a client and having a coffee with them and looking at what they have. I think also that kind of makes him feel comfortable as well, in the sense that you don't look like a fly-by-night guy who doesn't know what he's doing and stuff. Sometimes it's difficult to do that, but then again, I'm going to be honest with you, I've had to deal with a few weird situations where I had to make things work. For instance, I did a shoot for a friend of mine. He's based in Cape Town, so his company called me because it was cheaper to use me than flying him up and down. It was for Mining SA magazine. So I did shot photos for the magazine of the CEO of Liquid Telecom. Very cool shoot, but same story. I got there nice early, scoured my locations at the offices, looked at his office, created a nice bookshelf, all of that. And he's got one of those nice buildings. If you put him down at the bottom, at the entrance foyer, there's a ginormous sign that says Liquid Telecom in blue. And I was like, if you shoot that with him standing like this, with the Liquid Telecom in the background, nice out of focus, it would be nice. But like I say, then you do have hurdles where the secretary is like, no, sir, you have to shoot with him in the office. You can't shoot with him outside his office. And then I kind of railroaded her and went directly to him, and I was like, listen, I have this nice idea. This and the other ones, you've seen those corporate shots where it'll be at the edge where they've got the aisles and those big buildings that go like this around the whole time. So where the person will be on the edge where the railing is, leaning, something like that. And I went and I showed him some ideas, and he loved it. And he was like, "Cool, let's go out of the office. Let's go do it." Sometimes I think like you need to break that barrier with your subject and just roll with it.
So you had to bypass my secretary.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, the secretary thought she was the boss.
Okay. No, you have to be on our feet in terms like that. It's always something else to do, something else to think about. All right. So, in terms of something else, tell us about this shoot.
Okay, this was also a very fun shoot. I'll be honest, like these shots, what you see here, same story. This is exactly out of the gun. I tweaked it a little bit, but this was on the roof at what you call not Randlords. It was Virgin Active in Santon on the roof. DJ Zinkley is the person in the middle. She was featured on the Insider SA. The other two girls are I think the ones that both of them are yoga instructors. So this is a gym brand from Cape Town, like a female gym clothing brand, and DJ Zinkley is being sponsored by them. So there's a whole feature where they were talking about the clothing brand and her and fitness lifestyle, all of that. So this was basically, if I go tell you about the settings, was using, because space was very limited, very, very limited. Was using the Tamron 15 to 30 mil f2.8. My f-stop settings here, this is going to be a wild one. It must have been between f8 and f10, because we were dealing with it, like it was very, very bright on the rooftop, and I wanted to get that blue sky in the back. Your shutter speed here most probably again between 125 and 200, but I think most probably 125, because you go if 200, then or the shutter speed 200, then it might be a bit too dark, and then it'll make a problem for your lights. Was using the 200s, but I was using it at both of them full power with a beauty dish.
All right. So just to confirm, to get that nice blue sky, you went with f8.
Between
so you
F8
kept it
and F10,
underneath
yeah.
your So you kept it underneath your sync speed. Was an ND filter used here?
Nope. Let me show you. If you try and put an ND filter on this bad boy, so this is the 15 to 30 mil.
It's got a bubble front. Okay. All right.
So you must probably going to have to get one of those filter sets that you attach the front with the sliding filters and ching ching.
Yeah, those are quite expensive. You need a specific holder and a massive filter. Probably.
By the way,
15 centimeter filter.
I'm going to run off the topic, but back to filters.
That's fine.
I was looking the other day at the Canon with the new filter sets that you get. Like the attachment that you buy with the new mirrorless cameras, you can use the old lenses.
Yeah.
So let me show you quickly. So this is the R mirrorless camera, right? This front top part, if I take this off, it's basically like I might use the wrong term now, but you can put your old lenses to this. So you get different ones from this. You get one that's got a slide in filter. So you can do a variable ND. You can do a polarizing filter. But take a wild guess. It's like 9,000 Rand.
Oh, gosh.
But then you can put any lens in the front and you don't have to put a filter on the front. So that's the bonus. But the negative thing is, who's got 9K lying around in their base? Uncle Cyril.
Yeah.
With his couch.
Okay, gosh. Yeah, so in terms of that lens converter, I've never seen that before. So the lens converter, you can do the sliding filters. That's actually quite clever because you don't need to expose the filter to the outside elements. And,
exactly.
Probably going to get scratched in the meantime. No, it's actually quite clever. But 9,000 Rand. Well, I think if you do it as your job, the landscapes where the ND filters and the CPLs are required, I think it may be worth it. It's actually quite a clever thing. All right, so celebrity time.
Mr. Franco van Coke himself.
Yes.
So one of my older clients who does Ramfest and Halloween parties in Pretoria. So they do the not Franz van Gogh, they do the Folk of Politico birthday party. They did the Sweet 16 one a couple of years ago. And then I think not last year, the year before. It couldn't be the year before because the year before was COVID. So last year, I started like doing these backstage portraits with every musician. And I'll literally grab them and be like, listen here, they have this. So the background is a normal like fence to keep the crowd out, and then they put like a black cloth over it so people can't see that what goes on backstage. So I'll tell the celebrities, Francho, whoever, because I did this with all of them, with Francho, Snake, Hunter, even with the other bands. I would tell them, you can do anything. There was a guy I took pictures of who's also a photographer who took his shirt off and was showing his tattoos to everyone. Yes, he was standing there with our shirt.
I mean, why not, eh?
So settings here, I would say, if I remember correctly, shutter speed was 160th. F-stop would be between f1.6 and f1.8 because I wanted to get like that background totally out of focus. And yeah, the ISO is a tricky one here because this was most probably late-ish afternoon. So it can be anywhere between 100 and let's say 400. I'm just taking a wild guess here. I can't, like I said, you playing. This is like playing note for note. I'm just trying to point blank.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I'm getting your natural light. Yeah, so no flashes here. So in terms of band photography, how did you get into that? And also, yeah, in terms of lighting and stuff, like, do you carry heavy or just kind of depend on the environmental lights, natural lights?
So if we go back to where this whole chat started, I used to shoot in Shivas with my crappy old flash and my 450 and my kit lens. And I still have a passion for band photography. It's just now that I'm older, it's a bit tricky between being busy and having the time to go shoot bands. So my whole style changed. A few years back, I was shooting this party called Freshers. Now, one of the photos you will see later with Ricky Rick was at Freshers. It was a hip hop event. That evening, I think, yes, I didn't have the R yet. I had the, I think, did I have the R? No, this was before COVID. So I was shooting with my 5D Mark II, my 5D Mark III. Sold my 5D Mark II, part of our old gear to fund the R. But that evening, I wasn't using any flashes because when I was shooting the clubs, I used to use a flash just to bounce. But nowadays, at big festivals, there's usually so much stage lighting because they usually have good stage lighting. So I was running that evening with my 15 to 30 mil on the one body and the art lens on the other body. And I was literally just pushing the ISOs, which I never used to do because I've always been scared of going high with the ISOs because like, noise.
I'm getting flashbacks of that. I also started band photography along when I got started. Just like small, friends who were the bands and whatnot. And the camera I had at the time, if we went above ISO 200, the photo would just disintegrate. It would not be with the amount of noise that you would see. So yes, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm afraid of boosting my ISO, but with the fancy cameras nowadays, you don't need that flash all of the time. You can do ISO 1600, 3200, 6400. The amount of noise is just very minimal. So having a fancy camera that can just tolerate low levels of light, that's just a godsend.
Also
not something that was used to, yeah.
I was very lucky when I started out of band photography because I was shooting a lot with a guy called Sean Brunt. He used to be very active in the band scene a very long time ago. AJ Howard, he still shoots. He's not a full-time photographer. He is actually an accountant, but shoots on the sideline. Very good photographer. Wade Flowerday, I don't know if you know him. He shoots a lot. And Henry Engelbrecht, rest in peace. I always used to make the joke because Wade used to have this very friendly competitive streak with Henry, like when Henry comes to a show. And I used to call Henry Robocop because you couldn't outshoot Henry. You couldn't because Henry used to shoot Nikon, and I think it was the D850s. And then he sold them to Wade, and Henry went to the Fujis. And I used to be one of those sour grabs that were like, I'm not selling my mirror camera for this mirrorless nonsense. I am
Uh-huh.
sticking to what I know. And yeah, when before Henry passed away, I also got the mirrorless. But besides that, um, Wade started like changing his settings a bit because Henry used to shoot like what quite high ISOs, but you could with the Fujis.
Mm.
So Wade started doing it. I started experimenting as well. And even if you have a bit of noise with live photography isn't that bad. Like a bit of
No, it's not.
grain isn't that bad. I think also we are so like constructed in our heads and manipulated that it has to be clean, always has to be clean.
Yes.
And then you start speaking to people in the industry, photography and videography. A lot of people say they clean an image and then afterwards they'll add grain just for some texture. And I'm like, no, I'm not joking. I've spoken to, I'm not even going to mention names because they might shoot me.
Oh,
But
no, you're not joking because I do that.
you're one of them. I try to get that grain out there, like scrap it out.
Uh-huh. There's an old vintage look. Yeah, I'll just add the grade in afterwards. I think it's a good point you brought up because I think people who started more than 10 years ago, I don't know how long you've been in it, but yeah, the cameras were not good at ISO 400, 800 and above. And kind of
1,600 was
conditioned not to shoot.
terrible.
Huh?
1,600 was terrible.
Yeah, no.
Even for the 5D Mark II, I was like 1,600. I was like, no, I can't. This is horrible.
Yeah, so until somebody told me better it's better for it to be grainy as opposed to be out of focus.
Mm.
I think that's kind of the methodology I stuck with. Yeah, so better grain as opposed to out of focus.
Mm.
All right, so
This is a fun one to talk about.
all right, so first question I want to ask you before we jump into this, also relating to everything that you do.
Yes.
How do you make people feel comfortable in front of a camera?
Do you really want to know this one? This is a funny one. I make jokes.
Of course, this is why I have you here. Jokes is good.
Like, look, I'm a very fun person. You've met me. I'm an extrovert, number one. Secondly, I think something I've learned through photography and shooting bands is like you shouldn't be scared to ask people questions and sometimes get out of the box. And yeah, even with corporate work, like I'm not joking, even corporate work, weddings and stuff, I don't like tease people or make jokes about people, but that's how I break the ice. I am a funny person. Like I try and enjoy life. Life's already too serious. You need to make jokes to make it fun. So that's personally how I feel. And I think that's the best way of putting it because I can't think of any other way that I do it because I've lately noticed I make jokes with people and it works. And
so being extroverted, all of that just comes natural to you. So us introverts just have to struggle and have to think about a few icebreakers and jokes on a day. It's a little bit more difficult for us.
I'm engaged to an introvert, okay? How do you think she feels some days? Especially when we go to shows.
So the two of you complement one another.
Yeah, we do. But
so it kind of keep you in check and you're the wild one, the goofball on set.
Yeah, except nowadays I've become like the old man that likes to chill at home and have a braai, chill with the dogs and the family.
Okay. Yeah, also there. All right, so do you want to talk about this image?
Okay, so basically, back to again my friend Robert from Arcade Empire days, the guy that owns Ramfest and stuff. He after saying arcade, he opened the Fokov bar in Pretoria with the guys from Fokov Politica. So this was this year for the 19th birthday. So Fokov Politica has been together for 19 years. So he called me, I think it was the day before the shoot, because I was actually on my way that day to go do school photos in Rustenburg. So I drove back like a maniac because I was like almost a half an hour late for this. So I get there and he's like, as I get there, they're all drinking beer and they're laughing and they're like, nah, man, it's chill. Don't stress. Calm down. But also I've met all of them a few times now, so they all kind of know me. And I've done work for Wynand, and if people don't know who's Wynand, Wynand's guy with the pink hair and the knife. Anyway, so we get there, and the idea behind this shoot was earlier we were doing food for the Fokov bar. So it was like burgers and steaks, but what was cool, I can't share this because the client was like, no, they can use it. They made a GIF. So every guy, so the burger comes, every guy takes a bite, and the burger moves and the juice moves. We did stuff like that.
Nice.
So back to this shot. This was for the marketing material for the physical event. They actually even this photo was even published in Potchefstroom Herald.
Nice. It's a feather
So
in your hat, eh?
the Herald in Potchefstroom, yes, I'll take it. So this shot basically was
Sorry,
the
I
wide
don't know if
angle.
it's you breaking up or me breaking up.
Can you hear me? Hello? Conrad? Conrad, do you hear me?
Yeah, so I'm having connection problems. I think it should be better now. Is that fine?
Okay, I can hear you now. It's not me because I was
Hi?
down. Can you hear me? Conrad?
I'm here.
Okay, give me a second. Let me just go look something if something's running in the
I'm
background.
here.
Give me 1 second. I'll be back now. Let me just go check something quickly, okay? Conrad?
I'm here, yeah. So it's just terrible connection here on my side.
Is it your side?
Sure.
You shouldn't download things that have interviews, Conrad.
No, nothing is running here on my side. It's just it's really load shedding. It's just making problems.
Let me just answer you quickly. So guys, we're just waiting for Conrad to just sort out his internet.
Is that better? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Gosh, okay. Sorry about that. It's just the load shedding pulling tricks on my connection here.
I don't want to say it loudly, but I don't know what load shedding is anymore. We don't get load shedding.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a constant now. Henk, if you don't mind,
let's go to this photo.
Sorry?
Do you want to go on about the photo?
I think what we can do is just get you the kind of run through the photos a little bit.
Okay, I'll run through this.
I think I'm going to have... I'm just having troubles with my connection, so I want us to finish, but I think we're kind of... we need to get through the images just a little bit faster.
Okay, this
Do
is
you
okay.
enjoy the chat? So I'm not saying you're talking a lot. I'm just from my side. I'm just thinking, my connection is probably going to run dry at some point. So I just want to finish.
Go for it.
All right. So in terms of these band images, you said you wanted to talk about this guy.
Yeah, that's Ricky Rick. Rest in peace. But yeah, this was Freshers, and this was shot with a 50mm 1.4 art lens. I think ISO might have been 2000 here, and f1.8, if I'm correct. But this was all shot natural light, no flash at all. So the light you're seeing here is the light that comes from the stage, side lighting from other lights, all of that.
Oh, it's very nice having that camera that can do ISO 2000 and above. It's not what we were used to starting out.
Nope.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into the other batch of questions, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Cool. So let's get our faces back up. Hello. All right. So, what advice would you have given yourself 10 years ago?
Don't be a DJ. Funny enough, I had this in another podcast, but basically, if I maybe not have spent time DJing on the sideline and doing events part-time, and I used all my energy to just do photography, my photography might have been 10 times better than it's now, or business-wise. But then again, I wouldn't have met all the contacts. And through the contacts, I did get a lot of extra photography work. So it's not a bad thing. But yeah, I can't think of anything actually that I'm unhappy about that I did 10 years ago when I started. I think there's a reason for a path that we all have to take to get to our end result. And sometimes it's not easy. And if it's not easy, it makes you a stronger person at the end of the day.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So you can't lament what you did prior or have your regrets, because everything, in collection just helps out in terms of your future growth and whatnot. So, life is a journey. Don't always know where you're going to go, where the wind's just going to swoop you off to. Just kind of take, the little bits and pieces as you go along, and just use it for your personal growth going forward. So I could definitely, do align with that. So, 10 years ago, how about 10 years in the future? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years' time?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm seeing myself branding out more into, you might have noticed on social media that I'm starting to brand out a bit more into video work. So hopefully in the next 5 to 10 years, I wouldn't just be a photographer per se anymore. I would be more of I know this term is hated in our industry, a content creator. So that I can do video work, I can edit video work, I can do photo work, and I can edit photo work. So by doing that, you make your field of potential work coming towards you wider, and that also causes you to get more work. So in 5 to 10 years, hopefully, my business is bigger and stronger than it is now. I'm very happy where things are now. Like I said, I think things happen for a reason. But yeah, hopefully in 5 to 10 years, have a Canon R5 and maybe a video camera like Black Magic Pocket or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. So, what is in your photography dream list? So, places, people, events, etc., that you'd want to shoot, and why?
Oh, that's so okay. Music-wise, I would still love to go shoot Slipknot. Like they're my top tier bucket list of bands to shoot. So that would be music-wise. It's like also a festival like Tomorrowland. I've shot for Red Bull at H2O, and I've shot at Ultra. So, but being a main photographer at an event like, let's say, Lost Lands, which is a dubstep festival in America, and then something on my top tier list would be maybe working alongside someone like Joey. I maybe use the wrong surname, but Joey Wright, the portrait photographer. Like, he's a very big inspiration to me. Like, I bought his book, and I think that's also one of the things that started pushing me more into doing environmental portraits and stuff like that. And to travel more. Like, before COVID, I went to Thailand. I want to go back to Thailand, go shoot more there. Vietnam. Where else? Would love to go to Iceland, and also would love to go to the States. But money does not grow.
I think Iceland's a good one, yes. Iceland would be a good one. It's actually a place where we want to get married as well, Iceland. But that's a...
Do you like the cold?
A bit of a pub. I don't mind for cold. I'm more of a tropical person. I don't know. I probably wouldn't stay in a cold environment. Let's put it like that. Happy to visit every now and then, but probably not. I think that's. So another question here. Already asked that one. Any shout outs? Yeah. So we're kind of drawing to the end of our interview. Then we're going to get into some fun questions, but any shout outs? So people who you'd like to thank for helping out on your journey.
Okay, so let's start. I would say one of the biggest people that helped me would be Sean Brunt. I know he doesn't do photography anymore, or he does shoot very seldomly, but he was one of the first people in the music scene when it comes to photography that kind of was like, I would say he saw me struggling at some events, and he'll be like, come here, take me under his wing. Like, I'll never forget shooting, I think it was Van Coke Cartel in Hatfield Square with that old flash. And I couldn't get my shots perfect. And he literally came, he was like, looked at the situation, pulled a piece of paper of his bag with an elastic, made a piece of like bounce card. Who else is there? There's a lot of people now that I deal with in the video section. One guy in particular would be Alex Shapiro. He's a photographer based mainly now to video field. He stays in Hoedspruit. I'll give him a shout out. He's always his door's always open towards me if I need someone to chat to. And also Shine Photo, got a lot of time for her as well. Like she's also very supportive every time if I got some editing questions and stuff. Because let's be honest, Shanae's a magician when it comes to editing. Like I
Oh,
take
yeah,
my hat
absolutely.
off to her. There's many people. Like there's too many people to mention. Because I think also I've been blessed with like people. I'm also the same. I always tell young photographers, I don't mind sharing ideas. Like it's difficult. It's difficult starting out, and people don't know half the time where to put their foot down. It's almost like walking on lily pads. So you just have to step and hope it doesn't sink. And I always tell people my door is always open to people. If you have any questions, gear wise, settings, my door's open. Ask me.
Okay, well, and we're going to stay on topic with that. So, to those watching, if you have any questions to ask, please do drop that in the comment section. We're kind of drawing the end or near the end of our interview. So, what we're going to do now is a snapshot round, as we like to call it. So, we're just going to ask a bunch of silly questions, not pertaining to photography whatsoever. So, in the meantime, if you're still watching, please do ask your questions in the comment section. So, thereafter, we will tackle them. But in the meantime, Henk, what ice cream flavor sums up your personality?
Oreo ice cream.
Why so?
I'm just gonna throw your answers very quickly because you want snapshots. Beep, 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 beep. Do you want me to redo this? It's like Forrest Gump says, life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what's in the inside.
All right, perfect. What song gets you going or put you in a party mood?
That's a very easy one. Hyper from Eskimo Callboy.
Okay. All right, and the next question. If you could have one superpower today, what would it be and what would you use it for?
I would say a frosting power to cool down the earth because we're boiling at the moment. Save the planet.
All right, I never had that one before, but yeah, freezing power also to make your beer cold on a day, hey?
Yes, exactly.
There's a little air conditioning that you can just switch on and off. I like that answer. All right, if you could have an animal sidekick, what would it be?
I'm going to use my spirit animal and say a penguin.
Why a penguin? You like the cold, eh?
I like
powers,
penguins.
and you want to give things cool for your penguin as well.
I've always liked penguins. Like when I was a baby, my mom bought me a stuffed penguin, and like every time I go to Cape Town, I go look at the penguins. I like penguins. Don't ask me why. I like penguins. I always tell Danelle penguins are my spirit animal.
Okay, that's a very groovy answer. I like that. So the penguins, so you have your freezing power. Nice little combination there. You can use your powers to keep your penguin cool as well. All right. So I think, Henk, that's it from our side. So we got those fun and awful weird questions out of the way. So is there anything else that you want to touch on?
No, but I think you got it covered. Is there anything else you'd like to ask me while you have me here?
No, I think we've been busy for an hour and a half now, so we've kept each other busy for quite a chunk now. So I think that's going to be it from our side. So let's see, no questions from the audience. I think everybody is, trying to survive the load shedding, trying to preserve batteries and whatnot. But yeah, it was a blast having you. I think we're going to have you again in future. When I have better connection, may bring in a couple of extra guests. Very fun to talk to. So please do use that high-spirited nature of yours. Have success in your career and in the industry. We wish you all the luck going forward. And thank you very much for joining.
Thank you for the time. And thanks, guys, for watching. And good luck with the load shedding.
Right, perfect. So that's going to be it from our side. So I'm going to end broadcast just now. Okay. Thank you for joining, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.